Navigating today's real estate market can be tricky. Want to buy or sell a house? Finance or insure a house? Or stuck with a house and don't know what to do? Florida Talk Real Estate has been your local one-stop real estate shop since 2012. Get the advice you need from your local real estate pros. Here are your hosts, Jim DePola and Johnny C. live on Real Radio.
It's Saturday morning. Welcome to another edition. It's Florida Talk Real Estate for 2 hours of infotainment on a Saturday. Great to have you with us, whether you're on the old terrestrial radio, 92.1, 101.7. Thanks for being there. Maybe you have your free download, your iHeartRadio app. That means we are worldwide if you're listening on that. That's pretty cool. And we live stream as well on a Saturday. Join us. Maybe on Facebook, Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. You can do that on YouTube as well. That's Florida Talk Real Estate LLC on YouTube, home of a ton of informational chunk videos. Plus, your live stream every Saturday. If you're with us already, thanks for being there. If not, remember, you can always join us there. Speaking of joining us, you can always join us live on the radio, toll free at 877-927-6969. Questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate? Dial up. Want to join in the conversation at hand? Don't be shy. First voice you'll hear, the melodious tones of our producer extraordinaire. There's Jimothy, my brother from another mother. What's up, dude?
Hello, and good morning, Johnny. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing all right, man.
Awesome.
Yeah, always nice to see you.
Always good to see you as well, my
A ray
friend.
of sunshine as I walk in the door.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes, no matter what the weather's like. Johnny C., that's me, your old buddy, your pal. Let's get your starting lineup on a Saturday morning. The very important people include Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Hey, good morning.
VIP.
Yeah.
Nice.
Always.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? That was amazing. You were doing your intro. Did the glasses swap right off with the sunglasses on with the indoor glasses, I guess.
So so sunglasses too.
No, you did it without missing a beat. So
Yeah, like
definitely
Mr.
impressive.
Rogers with his sneakers and his shoes.
That's right. That's right. That was Johnny coming in.
That's funny. Yeah, and I was having issues too. For some reason, our headphone thing, they are super low volume. I couldn't find one as the intro's playing.
I saw that when you made the first switch. I was hearing the music and I was watching you and I was like, is he going to pull it off? And of course he did.
Yeah, we'll pull it off.
Yeah.
It's not going as well as I'd like it to.
Yeah.
But hey,
maybe need a hand.
that's what she said.
There are volume knobs there.
There are, and they
turn.
even maxed out. It's like
really?
itty bitty little
At
volume.
11?
No kidding,
Yeah,
really.
even on 11.
Put it to 11.
That one goes to 11. None of those will. No, that's why I'm in that one.
Nice.
I'm a rock star.
Yeah.
Let's get our fearless leader going into this program on a Saturday. 13 plus years now, I've told you, he runs a top producing Keller Williams team, the Florida Home Pros team, Keller Williams Innovations. There's Jimmy D. Jim DePola, how you be?
Hey, I'm doing good, everybody. Happy South Florida. I'm really happy to driving down here today, seeing the nice weather. Full moon's coming up on Monday, so this weekend should be nice stargazing a little bit, hopefully,
I hope the weather cooperates.
I don't know how cloudy it's going to be. Yeah.
Wait, you think when there's a full moon out, it's better for stargazing, or?
Yeah, I think so. It's brighter. You have more light. I know you're going to tell me that's harder to see the stars, but you got the moon, and I'd rather see a moon than a bunch of twinkling.
Well,
no, but the moon isn't a star.
Yeah.
I know, but
moon gazing.
If you're moon gazing,
well, what happens if you look?
If
you're moon gazing, does that mean you can't look at any stars? You only could look at the moon.
It makes it
If
harder
you're
to see them.
stargazing, you ignore the moon.
But the brighter,
you ignore the moon.
The brighter reflection off the moon.
I know. I just said that.
Have you noticed how when the sun, like during the day, you can't see any stars because of the bright object?
I see the moon.
I was one of my favorite things to do.
One star you can.
Stay in the parking lot and just stare. People be like, "What are you doing?" Like, the stars are amazing.
Yeah.
And they look back at you. Look.
Yeah.
They're there. Oh, they're
special
there.
special contact.
That's right.
Sorry, Jim.
And that's okay. No.
What were you saying?
It's
That's beautiful. It's going to be a beautiful evening.
Yeah, it's going to be a nice weekend, and also it's Mother's Day's weekend. So happy Mother's Day, everybody!
All the mamas,
all the mothers out there,
even you mother fathers out there too.
Happy birthdays, Mom! Happy birthday, Joyce!
Yeah.
Birthday. I just said birthday.
Happy Mother Day.
That's like yesterday last week when I sang that stupid Diddy thing and I didn't do it right. That Jack and Diane thing. I should have said Greg and Diane. I said Jack and Diane. I was like,
Are you still hung up on that?
Yeah, it's still bothering me.
Still bothering you?
Yeah. I want to use that for a rerun.
You said Diddy, and I was wondering, are you really singing? Puffy songs right now? I was like, wait a second.
Yeah.
It's kind of somewhat topical.
Yeah. So, This show is going to be a special show today, guys. This is going to be the summer 2025 buyer's guide. And it's going to be all about buying homes this summer because that's what this summer is really going to be about. It's going to be the summer of the buyer. And I know a lot of people might be going, yeah, right, whatever. But as we go through all this today, you're going to see that there are a lot of opportunities out there for people. And what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through the whole process and include how government programs can get involved in the process. Some people will use government programs for down payment assistance programs. Some people will not. But we're going to weave the down payment assistance programs into the timeline of this summer of buying. And I really think that's what's going to happen this year. The buyers are going to get really, really good deals this summer. And, Johnny, before we get into everything in a little bit and some shout outs, you know what? I was driving out in the acreage area and I saw one of those little bandit signs and it said 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car garage, mother-in-law, $199. And I was thinking, did you see that sign? It's out by your area, Mike.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah,
No.
so that one's on 441 as you go to Persimmons. Okay.
Yeah.
But I was like, only $199 for a mother. That's if you have a property in the acreage and you want to put a second building on there. They're charging you $200,000 for the new building, and that's a 2-2. So I was thinking, I wonder what it would be for a 1-1.
Huh.
And maybe you can buy. I'm just throwing out ideas. If you found out that the brand new mother-in-law was, let's say, I'm making it up, 150, right? Maybe you buy a property where you could put the new thing on and still have the financing where it all works out, the numbers work out.
Yeah.
As opposed to look
that's
at it
always
that
been
way.
part of the equation,
Right.
in the mindfulness. But I always assume about $200K for
You were
mother-in-law.
thinking that anyway.
Yeah. But I've never found anything for $199.
Yeah. So, and all it was a bandit side. All it says is 221 $199 mother-in-law. That's all it said.
Nice.
So, but anyway, it's just another opportunity of looking at it instead of finding the home with the mother-in-law suite built in that you kind of added on later, or not later, but as part of the deal.
If
What
the
I was
1-1
wondering-
was 150, I think I'd go for the 2-2 at 200.
You probably would, for value.
Yeah,
over
just
time.
because
Well,
more function
but affordability,
potential.
right? Let's say the $50,000 puts you out of your mortgage.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I was going to ask on this subject. I know we're getting a little off track, but it's kind of interesting because we've never talked about something like this. Could you buy a home and use a new construction loan not to add on to the home or change the home you're buying, but adding on a completely different structure onto the property and include it as one big mortgage?
So we talked a little bit about this in our early stages.
Oh, did you?
Well, me and Mike in our early stages, like when we were first setting up the app, because I was like, well, we could do this, we might be able to do this, and this might be an option, and I think you broke it down to it all, like it all hinged on the ultimate value, right, of what was said and done, and over improving. I know it was a word that you kept kind of.
That's I mean, that would apply in general when you're doing like any of these.
Because I was inquiring about construction loans of the
renovation loan.
501(c)(3) is that what it is?
203K is probably the one you were thinking of. You're pretty close. Yeah. 501(c)(3). FHA may be one of those now.
Johnny C.
A
donation fund.
a not-for-profit mortgage.
That's my not-for-profit donation. Speaking of which, my GoFundMe page right now is
The 501 Johnny C.
that's what I'm confusing it with.
So that's definitely something that I would talk about and comes to the top of mind when we're doing the renovation loans. Just, you have to kind of, what's the budget to acquire the property? What's the budget to renovate? And I think Jim's question, I don't know that we talked about it. I don't remember, but building a mother-in-law suite. So you're not necessarily renovating the home that you're buying, you're renovating and building a mother-in-law. I don't know the answer to that, Jim.
Yeah.
And I even told you this morning, we were talking about this theme. I was like, Jim, you're not going to stump me. He's Mike, did you prepare? I'm like, you're not going to stump me. And then here we go.
The buyer guide will not be a stump. This was just popped into my head when I turned around, look at the slide. Sorry, Mike got him.
But
that's a strong baby.
If people already own their home there and they're thinking, how do I finance a mother-in-law suite? That's something you can use home equity for.
Yes, you could
I
definitely
mean, you
do
could do a refinance too,
Right.
but you could also home equity, or perhaps even the people who are advertising the building. They might have some sort of financing,
mechanism or something,
arrangement, a relationship lined up.
Yeah. Kind of interesting. Anyway, just thought about that when I was driving around. I want to just do a couple of shout outs. Want to do a shout out to Kathy. Kathy hired us to sell her home in West Palm. It was just put on the market, I think, like 36 hours ago. It's a 2-bedroom. This is a here's a great opportunity for a first-time home buyer, right? Everybody says everything's so expensive, everything. Here's a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath townhome in a really good part of West Palm that's close to everything, great community, nice and safe. HOA is only $305 a month, and Kathy is asking $310,000 for this townhome. If you use like the Hometown Heroes Buyers program, which we were talking about, we're going to be talking about in more detail later today. This house, you probably could get this house for like $10,000 to $12,000 out of pocket if you use the down payment assistance program.
That's great.
And that's not even including if you get any help from the seller. That's just using the down payment assistance program. So a lot of people are paying like $2,500 to $3,000 a month right now for rent. So first class security is going to be almost the same as moving into a place like this.
Almost.
Roof is newer in this community, but you don't even have to worry about roofs, which is a big insurance worry for everybody, because the roof's taken care of by the community. There's no assessments coming up. They already put all the roofs on like 4 years ago, right? So this community is like really solid for the future, right? And the HOA is only $305 for it.
Sounds
So
like they run that
here
pretty
are
well.
opportunities, and let me tell you, these homes are great starter homes. These I call them the Bergen Devasta homes.
How many bedrooms is that?
This is I'm sorry. Sometimes they're 3-bedroom, but this is a 2-bedroom. And thank you, Mike. Thank you for doing that.
So only two
Some of
upstairs.
these, there's 2 upstairs. Sometimes there's a 1-bedroom downstairs. This one
Downstairs.
doesn't
Yep.
have that, but it's 2.5 bath, and it's been nicely updated over time. Really great value. Only $310,000. So if you're a buyer and you're looking for an opportunity, give me a call on that. And if you're a realtor, has a person on a budget, this is a really great opportunity for them to look at it. They're not going to be disappointed with the inside. It's not going to feel like it's overpriced for the condition. It's going to feel like there's value there, and buyers will see that there's opportunity.
Awesome.
So please check that out. Thank you, Kathy, for trusting us. On top of that, we helped Kathy hire a agent in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And Kathy is planning on, when she sells here, to move up there. That is another great seller buyer story that we're working on that's in the process of being finished. We had Greg and Diane last week, our most recent seller buyers, and they were on the show actually in studio last week. And we had a really great time with them and learned a lot about their process and their journey. Kathy's is kind of interesting because she came to us about 6 months ago. And she said she wanted to move up to South Carolina, and I followed her for quite a while. She had to go to a family reunion in another state. And then when she was done with everything, like 3 or 4 months later, she goes, "No, I don't want to do it. I'm going to stay here." And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. She had to go through that part to find out, does she want to stay here or move up north?
Sure. A plan that can't change is a bad plan.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So we went through everything. And then next thing I know, I get a call from the agent that I had placed her with up there. Right. And the agent goes, "I think you're going to be getting a call from Kathy." And I'm like, "Okay." And she goes, "Yeah, I think that she found the exact community she wants to move into, and that she's going to want to put her house on the market pretty quick." A week later, the house was on the market.
Interesting.
This Thursday.
That actually brings up something maybe is important to buyers, because maybe part of what whatever was going on personally, but maybe she didn't find the house she was looking for, and that kind of put her off making the big move,
and
right?
That was the thing. So she wanted to move to this area of South Carolina, but her idea was, when she first started the idea, right, and meeting with me and find out what she could net, to find out what she could buy up there.
I think I talked to Kathy at some
you
point.
did,
right?
right? I think she's planning on doing cash, but we had her go to you just in case she needed a mortgage, right?
Yep.
So you're her backup, safety net if it's needed. So what would happen is She originally wanted to be in a non-HOA in a single-family home, a little bit outside of the main town of Myrtle Beach. What she's buying is a condo inside a gated tennis community where there's all this activity and she has all these social network that she could build when she's up there. So she flopped 180 degrees as to what she wanted. That's what's great about our system. We put no pressure on you. We give you your numbers so you know what you can or can't do. And then you take your time and figure out, is the move right? Is the move not right? You can change your mind, not change your mind, do whatever you want.
Right.
It's awesome. So I'm really excited for her right now.
That is exciting.
So next step is sell that house, sell that townhome. So that's what we're working on. So anybody interested, please give us a call.
Sounds like that's probably going to get some action.
Yeah, I hope so. It should get some action, and we're priced very competitively in the community. There's, I think, only 2 other units in there. So I know one's more expensive than us. I think one's slightly less expensive, but I feel like ours is better condition.
FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. If this piques an interest for you, great first time buyer opportunity for sure. Get things lined up. Get with Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Get an understanding of exactly where you are and if this might be something that's right for you. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. That's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
And Mike, what states are you in again? Georgia,
so Florida,
Georgia.
That's the one I can think of off the top of my head. No. Yeah, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Virginia, Colorado, and Tennessee. Is that right? Tennessee? Yeah, I think Tennessee.
Tennessee.
Yep.
I have a guy that's going to be trying to move to West Virginia. I wish you had. You're just one state away from where he's going to be.
I mean, I could look into it.
Yeah,
it's usually what I end up getting licensed in a state just because I have an opportunity, and then so you have to go through. There's some education required, and then obviously you got to pay the licensing and stuff. But usually it's worth doing it if there's a deal there.
Yeah, for sure.
A deal.
Know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just 2 more quick shout outs. I wanted to give a quick shout out to Charlotte, Carrie, and Tammy. Charlotte is the mom. We helped her buy a new place about 4 months ago, I guess. And now we're selling her unit. We got it under contract. We've gone through the inspection and appraisal. The negotiations on that one were really, really tough. But we got it done, and it's now we're just waiting for the closing. I'm not too worried about the appraisal.
You got to have those, Jim. You can't have everything super easy, right? Like you got to keep
this last 2 weeks was
your
like
edges,
that. Yeah.
your edges honed.
Honed.
Yeah.
I was on the whetstone a lot this last couple weeks. So also shout out to Janet and Sean. They're big time listeners to Real Radio. Awesome. They hired us to sell their house, and they're buying a new home up in Tennessee. They found a new place up there. We placed it with an agent that helped them find the place up in Tennessee.
Cool.
And we got into contract last week, and we've already done the inspection. Inspection's done. It's a cash deal. So we don't have to worry about the appraisal. All we're waiting for is the HOA and the title to clear. They've already picked a date on when they're going to close up there. So we're going to be doing a simultaneous close down here in the morning. Then the title company will take the proceeds of the sale from Janet and Sean's house, send it up to the Tennessee title company, which will then close on their cash deal up there. So looking forward to get that one done for them. I'm really happy for them and to get them to the next chapter of their life.
That's exciting.
It's gonna be really exciting.
Yeah, very much.
So thank you guys for all of that. And we're looking for new customers. We have a couple people coming up, but we're always looking for new business. So if you're thinking about selling or buying, or selling and buying, or you're just not sure if you should sell or buy, we're the one that can get you the answers that you need. And we're not going to give you the answers that we want you to have. We were going to give you all the answers so that you can make a decision that's best for you.
Yeah, that's the reality. Experience it for yourself. And remember to share FloridaTalkRealEstate.com on Facebook and YouTube, but the .com is your access to the entire team. Pros, experts in their field that work cohesively together. When you're buying a home, selling a home, you're stuck with a home, you don't know what to do. Anything that touches the world of real estate, you need a professional to handle what you got going on and give you the guidance, the options that you have. Get the understanding at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
After we take the break, we're really going to get into the summer 2025 buyer guide. I'm really excited about this because what we're going to do is go over down payment assistance programs, but not just focusing on that. That's just one facet of a home buying process. Some people don't use those programs at all.
Right.
They're not first-time home buyers. So what about them? So we're going to talk about the whole buying process of how to start qualifying for a mortgage if you need it, if you're selling a house, how that comes into play with the purchase of your new home, all of that. We're going to get into that on the flip side of this. But before the break, I would like to talk a little bit about what's happening here in Florida. You know, they keep talking about trying to eliminate property taxes in Florida.
It bothers me every time it comes up.
Yeah, and I'm very confused.
So much.
I'm confused about it too. So the last time I don't remember.
Can I tell you what gets me?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it might be the like contrarian nature in me. I'm really skeptical about everything. You know, I'm a question authority kind of guy. And I admit that may be the whole root of what I'm dealing with, but I just don't understand the motivation. Like, what's the real end game? Is it about hooking up the homeowners? Because I think if it was, wouldn't they have just already extended the homesteading? Like, just if it's about keeping dollars in our pockets as primary residents, as homesteaded residents in the state of Florida, just extend our homestead extension. Just get it done. Make it happen. Extend it as far as you want it to. Then you've taken care of all your homesteaded residents, which is all that they seem to care about, because that's what they're telling us. And it's done. The fact that it just keeps coming up and nothing's really happening, it tells me that there's some ulterior motive. And maybe I'm just that dummy that's like, oh, it must be some nonsense. Maybe I am. It's possible. I'm willing to admit it. But if it was really as simple as make it happen for the homesteaded residents, just do it.
Yeah, you wouldn't have the whole trying to invent the evils of property tax, right? Like trying to convince people that it's so bad.
There's a mechanism in place that saves homesteaded residents on their property tax. Make it more valuable to them, and all of a sudden, ta-da, it's done. When it's not happening that way, you're like, what's the real thing going on here?
Well,
I agree.
Here's what I think. I don't trust government either, and I used to cover government, you know, part of the time as a journalist. So I actually watched how the
wheels are greased,
stuff is made, the sausage is made here locally and statewide, not so much nationally, but a little bit nationally. So I've watched it all, right, on a local level, you know, county level, state level, and regional level when they have the regional things like the Indian River Trail District and all that stuff. But we're talking about a lot of money, and I can't remember the number, and I want to say it's either, and I'm way off on this because you're going to laugh. It's either $52 billion or $8 billion, and I think it's closer to the $52 billion is the money that's being raised from these property taxes. You know, and we got to come up with that money because that's our police and our fire and our schools and our roads, you know, and all the other stuff that we pay for, right? So that's got to be paid somehow. And a lot of that does come on the shoulders of property owners in the state. There's no doubt about that. So they shoulder more of the burdens of operating the state than a renter, right? But at the same time, so we have to figure that out. Now, at the same time, there's a lot of local taxes that are tied to your property tax bill. And like one of the things that they have to do is they have to go to every government agency that has tax collected through the property taxes and get them to change their rules in order to even make this happen. Now, how complicated is that? There's 67 counties, okay? And I think Palm Beach County has something like 40-something cities. Okay, 40-something cities in Palm Beach County.
I think it's 47.
Used to be 43, but it increased because Westlake and all the other ones. For some reason,
right? 47
Yeah, it's in the 40s for sure, right? Now, Palm Beach County is one of the biggest counties in the country. People don't know this, but Palm Beach County is the biggest county east of the Mississippi, right? The biggest county anywhere on the eastern seaboard east of the Mississippi. And we are the same square miles to the 10th of a mile as the state of Rhode Island.
Biggest like area wise?
Yeah, area wise, right? We're the biggest landmass
not
county east of the
population or something. Okay,
just landmass.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and we're the same size as Delaware to the same square mile. So I always joke that I cover a whole state. I cover a whole
Border
state
to
here,
border.
right? And plus, because I do everything from Indian River down to Dade. But the thing is that this is a very complicated thing. But part of me is like, if you don't have property taxes, the only way I see that you're going to be able to make up that money is to have huge sales tax.
Yes.
Right. That's the only. I mean, I'm stupid about this. I'm not an expert on taxes.
Which is one of the people will say, yeah, you make it a consumption tax instead of just like, hey, I live here and I own here. I'm responsible. No, switch it over to people who voluntarily buy stuff, right? Whatever they're purchasing, and it increases. But there's a counter to that one.
Well, economics, if you take economic courses, which I did, at University of Florida,
you heard the poor master.
But when you take economics 101, pretty basic, when you do that, it usually affects lower income people way more than the wealthier people. So there's a sliding scale of the burden.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right now, a certain percentage of revenue for the county, and I guess, whatever state, comes from homeowners. And the idea is, okay, we'll shift that to non-homeowners, right? Like the people, non-homeowners aren't contributing, right? So now, to everyone. But it's a big burden for people who, they're renters, right? For whatever reason.
Yep.
And then the flip side of it, and this is the part that's hard to defend in a way, or not hard to defend, but it's an interesting concept. The people that really want to wipe out the property taxes and they really feel strongly about it, their argument is, hey, if I own a property for 50 years and I paid off the mortgage, 20 years earlier, and I still have to pay taxes on the property for the rest, as long as I live and everybody else lives.
And if I don't pay them.
And if I don't pay it, my property gets taken away from me. So in that part I can kind of understand people, So I don't
that can
know.
Be fixed.
I don't know the answer.
Yeah, it can be.
I don't know the answer to it, but they are really. I thought this was just like clickbait from the state legislators. They throw stuff. And I'm not talking red or blue. I'm just talking about politicians, right? They throw stuff out there, little red meat, let you chew on it for a little while, and then you forget about it, right?
So that
this is still hanging around. This is still hanging around, and on top of it, Montana just did it, right? Montana now. Completely different state, Montana. I don't even think it has half of the population. The whole state, I think, has half the population of Palm Beach County.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're talking about a way different kind of situation.
If you're on hold, be patient. We'll get to your call in just a second.
They said
Montana probably has large. It's almost like the TV show Yellowstone. The property tax was going to bankrupt them because they owned all this land, and the property taxes were going to go up. And they basically were going to run out of money because of this. So I wonder if Montana has something similar where there's large landowners, big money guys who are interested in not having their property taxes increase just because the value of, whatever.
I can see
the economy is increasing.
Sure. Right? Hey, the motivation to pay as little taxes exists, I think, in all of us.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to find a single person.
Our country was founded on it.
Exactly. Well, what's funny is, I mean, our country was kind of founded on fighting a tariff on tea, which is amazing. But look at where we're at in 2025. But yeah, I mean, ultimately, no property tax, no income tax. Like, yeah, that'd be great. It's just not the system we're built on. It's just
no, it isn't not. Because then you don't. And so, but this is how Montana handled it. I don't want to get into the wonky stuff because I do want to take the caller. So just hold on 1 second, please. It says how Montana did it. They cut the taxes for homeowners, but second homes and big businesses, their rates went up.
See, that's the way I think it should be. I think the businesses, they're the ones that the corporations get the biggest break. Mm-hmm. They need to foot a lot more of the bill. Mm-hmm. We all know that is never happening. Yeah.
So, well, they did it in Montana.
Well, in Montana.
That's a pretty red state.
In Florida.
But how
much? The burden gets pushed on tourism.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. Because we have that ability. We have that ability. Yeah. But maybe we'll be like Vegas and start doing resort fees just to come into Florida. right?
And the
Like,
good
oh,
news-
you want to come into Florida?
But-
We're going to charge you a fee.
And the good news is we have a whole new amusement area that just opened.
Mhm.
And that's going to draw people
Yep.
from around the world.
Mhm.
There's a big buzz around those new worlds that have opened. I got to wait like a year. I mean, they're so busy. We're
Really?
already planning on waiting a year
Wow.
just to avoid the
rush.
the excitement. So there's a big potential to land a lot of tourism dollars if they angle it right. You want to take a quick phone call?
Yeah,
before we
we'll
jump to
take the call and then we'll take the break
Who's
right
on,
after
who's on
that.
hold there, Jimothy?
We have John on hold. He wants to talk about property values from policy changes in his area. John, welcome to Florida Talk Real Estate.
Hey, John, how are you?
Hi. Thank you, guys. Pretty good. Yeah, here in my town, what they did was decided to try to make it more harmonious. But if you know Juno Beach, it's more eclectic. We have the castle, we have different types of houses within the little houses. But now with this new code change,
Mhm.
I don't have the same rights I did when I bought my house, and I'm wondering how. I don't know what to do. How can they do that to us? One, and it's devalued my property, because basically my property, I could build 2 floors plus a little what they call a tower to see the ocean and all. Well, now I can't do that. I checked with planning and zoning, and I have to fit within the harmony of the other houses, and the majority of the houses around me are like mine is now, about 2,400 square feet. So now they're saying I can't build a 2-story with the little tower because I can only add on another 500 square feet because of the houses around me. So they've created this harmony clause that's like not allowing me to do what I originally, bought the house for years ago.
Well, John, let me ask you a question. Are you like on the east side of US 1? Just north of PGA Boulevard? Is that kind of where your house is?
Yeah, I'm just off of A1A.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
So
between US 1 and A1A.
I used to live right around where you are right now. I lived in one of the condos over there. Okay, but
okay.
so I know that area pretty well because I drove by it all the time, right? So,
Right.
but I do see you saw that they just put up like those 3 brand new construction homes that are multi-stories, so they can get little glimpses of the water on the other side.
Right.
That's why I
Right.
don't understand. They're saying you can't. Now,
Well, because of the new harmony code, you have to be in harmony with houses within 300 feet.
yeah, they usually
of you.
call conformity. It's a conforming thing,
Right.
right? So you don't want to have a church next to a porno shop, next to a school, right?
Right.
Is that's the extremes there?
Yeah, I'm using extremes, but that's why they have, zoning regulations, and cities map all that out. It sounds like, and I'm not familiar with the new conformity thing you're talking about, but it sounds like it was recently passed. Is that true?
It was actually passed, I think, 2 years ago.
Yeah, so recent. That's pretty recent.
And then we're trying to repeal it now
Mhm.
because people are starting to realize what it's done. You couldn't build the castle today. You couldn't build a lot of the houses on US 1 that already exist. They wouldn't allow you to build them now. And that's what I'm saying. My street, they're basically 10,000 square foot lots. They're all the same. And they were all supposed to be, you could actually put in a garage underneath, a basement,
Mhm.
a first floor, second floor, and a little cupola. And every house on the street was like that. And it was plotted like that. Now they're holding us down, and they're not allowing us to go up what we originally bought our properties for. And now people are realizing this, and this is becoming a problem here. And you guys, being local, should be looking into this. And
Well,
knowing
we're
that,
not. I'm not a journalist anymore, John. So,
Okay.
I've got a radio show once a week, 2 hours, just trying to tell people what's going on in the community. And I used to be a journalist, and that would be something that I would cover. You need to go to the local newspapers like the Palm Beach Post and complain to them. The Post has good coverage up there, and there's a couple of smaller papers like there's a couple of very small, like not Coastal Observer, that's more down south. But there's a couple of smaller papers, and I would go to the TV stations. They might cover it more. But it sounds like to me, this is what I bet. I bet that you're going to end up winning in the long run, people in your in your camp, if you will, because they're going to want the tax base. And when you build the houses bigger and everything, they're going to have more tax base because of it, and they're going to have more taxes.
I thought we were trying to eliminate.
So
those taxes.
I understand, but they're probably going to win in the long run, because you can't fight progress, kind of thing is the attitude. And I'm just saying this from watching 18 years of being a journalist in Palm Beach County from 1987 to 2005, and watch all the changes made in all these different communities in Palm Beach County over the years.
Right.
So you're probably going to end up winning in the long run. But you do, and this is a good point. If you buy something and you're planning on making major changes to the property or tearing it down and building something completely new, you better check with the building department and the zoning department of your agencies before you do it.
See if they have anything in the works.
Yeah, like if you're in Northwood, where they have historically designated homes, right? Now you have to tell people that, but if you didn't know and you said, oh, I'm going to take this 1934 home and I want to rip it all apart and turn it into a mega mansion, and then the city goes, no, you're not allowed to do that.
It's kind of something.
But in John's case, they changed the rules on him after he bought.
Like out in the acreage in Loxahatchee, there's been some of that going on over the past, recent years, where it's like,
yes,
the acreage lots kind of always like do what you want to, as far as having things on your land and building stuff and putting shipping containers.
When you're driving out there, it looks like Tony Montana lives right there. It looks like the hillbillies live like there. You're like, what?
And it's and people love that about that area, but they're started to be, like, wait a second, we moved in here. We don't like looking at the semi truck,
the semi truck
in your driveway, right?
Those people bought out there, John. You might only been down here for a while, but in the acreage from the 70s all the way, a lot of semi truck drivers would buy out there because they had an acre and they could park their trucks there.
Yep.
Sure.
Well, now they're complaining that the roads aren't strong enough to handle the weight of these trucks.
Rigs. Yeah.
And they're telling everybody, hey, you got to get rid of your rigs and put them somewhere else. And they're like, we bought here for this purpose, and we've been here for 20 years like that. Imagine them.
And I think you get a lot of sentiment out there. I guess it's about marketing, essentially, your point of view. But people who aren't affected by it, they'll be like, yeah, that sounds okay. Like, why would you want to have a bunch of garbage in your yard, right? Like, we don't have a problem with that, because their neighbors don't do that or whatever. But there's definitely a lot of people who are like, well, I don't have garbage, but I want my stuff in my yard.
Yeah,
right?
I want my stuff, and I don't want to be told what to do.
Yeah.
But John, I really think in the long run,
got to participate.
If you got enough people around, you're going to win. You're probably going to win that. I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm not taking sides, but history shows you're probably going to win that argument in the long run, because they're going to, like I said, they're going to want the tax base. And in that general area, I don't know the exact neighborhood you're in, but there's houses all around within a half mile to 3/4 mile. You got that cupola on the top. So eventually it's going to turn in your favor,
I would think.
Yeah. But John, thank you so much for calling. How long have you been listening to the show?
Many years. I've been here almost 40 years now. So
nice.
And that's why, a lot of us are upset about these changes, my house is a regular little 3-bedroom, but my dream was to go up and be able to see the ocean. If I stand on my roof, I could barely see the ocean. Well, if I had come to the money and I could do that, I want to have that ability.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this is what's happening. You guys are local realtors, so I figure you need to know this, because you have clients maybe buying in the area too.
Mm-hmm.
So a little informative. That's about it. And I thank you for all your advice.
Yeah, and thanks for listening to the show. Let other people know about us. And if you have any questions off air, give us a call. I'm not trying to hard sell you or anything. If you have more questions, give me a call off air. No problem. Okay.
Great to have you out there. Thank you very much for being there. And you're welcome to join anytime. Have a great rest of your weekend.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And remember to take care of any of the moms that are in your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Make sure they feel a little special on Mother's Day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Flowers, chocolates.
I mean, whatever special is. Yeah. Maybe it's just attention time.
I've been getting a lot of ads for like a cookware set.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, moms, do you really want like kitchen accoutrement as a
So
Mother's Day gift.
You guys been talking about cookware sets a lot lately?
No,
you know why
well,
you're getting ads because it's listening.
Yep.
I don't
know
think we
it's
have
good.
because I'm not in the market for new stuff. But I think for me, what happens is you pause for an extra second or two on the video, and that starts to like, oh, there was some interest there. It wasn't like a flick through.
It is amazing. So
Yeah.
I've been shopping Tecovas for a couple of years.
Oh.
And every time I talk Tecovas, my phone, my wife's phone, my mom's phone just inundated with Tecovas.
I just got pinged.
For sure. We start talking about Welcome to Rockville. Boom. All of a sudden, damn, everybody's just Welcome to Rockville. Yep. It is those damn things listen to you all the time. It is scary.
Me and my friend
It's
were
amazing.
talking on the phone and joking around with inappropriate content. Let's just put it that way. We were
locker room
joking
talk.
Yeah, locker room talk. And we're going back and forth. And the next thing, my phone blew up with all kinds of crazy stuff. I'm like, really?
Oh.
Really?
Oh, look, we got an answer to my question. So Magali says it depends on what kind of cookware. So apparently there's something
some
interesting.
is worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't come home with the Tupperware set, but if you got the new, all clad, 12-piece, that could be nice. Okay.
Yeah. And I know we're going to take the break, but let me just do this, Johnny, if you don't mind. I just wanted to give all the shout outs. Hey, Susan. Hey, Magali. Hey, Betty.
Mama.
Hey, Peggy and Joe. I'm having a hard time reading. Hey, Mom. Glasses, hey, Mrs. C's mom. Hey, Magali.
Wow, look at that.
Keith.
I can see that.
Hey, Keith. Just say hello to everybody and wishing you all a really great weekend and happy Mother's Day to everybody that's a mother and everybody that isn't a mother but is a parent. Happy Parents' Day.
Yeah.
Right. So those count too.
It's Mother's Day though.
It's Mother's Day. Yep.
Don't steal that glory.
I took my mom to a theater thing last week for Mother's Day and the play. And here's a piece of advice for everybody out there. If you're not into the theater and stuff and you pick a play for your mom, try to find out what the play's about before you
This is the story of Caligula.
Oh my God!
Did you see? Did you go to the?
It was so depressing. This show is so depressing.
You remember the one-man show in The Big Lebowski? Remember the guy just dancing?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. Well,
I'm queen.
This was so depressing. The acting was excellent, but it's
a sad story.
I had to actually look it up on Wikipedia after. It's a famous. Any older people will probably laugh about this. It used to be a movie too in the 50s, I think. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that movie was about. I knew it was famous, so I said, "Oh, play about that. That would be good."
Not good.
Look it up, and then.
Yeah.
It actually talks about in Wikipedia how painful it is to sit through that.
It's a rough watch.
Yeah, but I mean, it's also considered critically acclaimed.
Oh, okay.
But it's a very rough watch.
Gotcha.
And we were like, when we were done, my mom turned to me and she goes, did that really happen? Like whatever the plot was, is like, did that person really exist? I'm like, I don't know, Ma.
Like I don't know if you can describe the uncomfortable feeling, like watching Human Centipede.
It was a bunch of drunk,
or like watching kids uncomfortable.
It was a bunch of drunk, dysfunctional people that you just wanted to punch them in the face like 50 times by the end of the.
Gotcha.
Which means it was very good acting.
Yeah,
so like excellent acting,
like a party at Johnny's house.
Punch everybody in the face. If it makes you feel,
bunch of drunk people.
If it makes you feel, then they're doing it right.
It's only the sober people who feel that way.
They weren't that drunk though, because no cornhole came out. Right, there was no cornholing, so there wasn't that much drinking.
That's closer to blackout drunk.
Anyway, on the flip side, Johnny, we're going to get into the summer 2025 buyer's guide. If you're thinking about buying or you'd like to, and you really feel it's just out of reach, or you just don't feel like you read the headlines, sounds like a horrible time, right? But it isn't. And we're going to get into that. We're going to show you all the opportunities out there. There are a lot.
Cool. We got a lot to get into. Thanks for being with us. Today's the 10th, right? Yes, it is. Danny Carey's birthday, by the way, for all my Tool fans out there.
Wow.
You should celebrate today. He's only the GOAT. Just figured I'd throw that out there. Why not? I do have the platform. We got a 4-minute break. We get back to it. A ton of valuable information, and it will be entertaining, I assure you. Plenty of time remaining. You're always welcome to join us if you'd like to get involved with the conversation. If you have a question that's kind of pertinent, dial in 877-927-6969. Of course, if you're not comfortable on the radio, believe me, I totally understand. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com is for you. That's access to the entire team. Pros, you get them all at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Find the team on Facebook and YouTube as well. But that .com, you should know it. You should use it. You should share it. You can change lives, including your very own, with the pros at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. We're back in 4 minutes. Thanks for being with us every Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate right here. It's Real Radio.
What's a Real Radio podcast? It's Real Radio on demand. Find your favorite show at realradio921.com. Real Radio weather.
I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Charlotte Carl. A beautiful rest of the day is in store with those temperatures continuing to climb. Upper 80s for the most of us, feeling more like the low 90s thanks to all that humidity across the area. We will see a good storm chance start to build around dinner time tonight, but will clear up overnight and into your Mother's Day.
This report is sponsored by Smith, Ball, Baez, and Prather Injury Lawyers.
Injured in an accident? Call Smith, Ball, Baez, and Prather for your free case evaluation. Call us at 500-HELP, 500-HELP. Help is just a local phone call away.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. That's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because FloridaTalkRealEstate.com has you covered. That's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
You're listening to Real Radio 92.1. And we are an iHeart radio station. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
Yeah, do it if you'd like. You're more than welcome. 877-927-6969. That is a toll-free number. You're more than welcome to join us. Get involved with the conversation at hand. If you have a question that's pertinent, don't be shy. Do that. Jimothy will line you up. What's up, my dude?
Hello, and good morning.
Good morning. I'm Johnny C., your old buddy, your pal. Let's get your, of course, starting lineup. There's Mike Rauch, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Nice to see you.
Good. You too.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was thinking about something else. I was thinking an email I got from somebody in my corporate office emailed me like, hey, Mike, we had this lead come in, said they came from the radio show or this from a podcast. And she goes, are you part of a podcast? And I'm like really?
Yeah, I know, right?
I replied, I was like, yeah, I'm one of the, recurring hosts. Been doing it for about 10 years now. Thanks.
Just a little bit. Yeah, that's me.
I think I am, because I was thinking, like, when did I forget the exact year that I start, but I asked Tiffany, I think it was 2015 at some point, maybe 2016.
Yeah, it was right at the beginning of 16 or right at the end of 15. Like
Okay.
It might have been
Yeah.
November,
So,
December 15.
In my 9th,
Yeah.
or no, in my 10th year.
Crazy, huh?
How's the math on that work?
You're in your 10th year.
I've completed 9 years.
Yeah.
I'm in my 10th year.
Right.
I will complete 10 years at some point this year.
That's right.
Got it.
Pretty amazing.
Nice.
Time zooms right by, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
13 plus years now, I've told you that he runs a top producing Keller Williams team. This is our fearless leader. The Florida Home Pros is where you'll find him at Keller Williams Innovations. There's Jimmy D, Jim DePola. How you be?
I'm doing great, guys. Happy South Florida.
That's all.
We're going to be talking about the summer 2025 buyer guide today. We're going to take you step by step, everything you need to know in 40 minutes.
I think we need to catch your name though.
I'm
off. It's not rolling off.
How about the
summer.
big and beautiful buyer's guide, summer 2025 buyer's guide, big and beautiful.
Summer
No?
buyer guide.
That didn't seem like that went over too well
Summer
here.
buyer guide.
Okay.
I'll think about something.
Something flashy.
Yeah.
One of the things that we'd like to do is talk about a little bit about statistics and because the first thing everybody does when they start talking to people that don't own or people that own but want to do something else, the first thing they do is say, is it a good time to do it or not, right? And that's normal for people to say that. But a lot of times they're over analyzing really what's happening. And did the April report come out already? I feel like did the April stats come out already?
For housing?
Oh, no, it's only the 5th. No, they didn't. So it was March. I'm sorry. I forgot
10th.
March. I was going to say, why am I not seeing this? Okay. So I want to go over some statistics just to put some things to bed. Okay. So the first thing is that the number of homes that are being bought right now are kind of low. We usually, before COVID, we were doing about 1,500 homes a month in Palm Beach County, and that's single family homes. I'm not counting townhomes. There's a whole nother category for that, but the ratios are going to be about the same. And we were selling about 12, and last month we sold about 1,200 homes. So, we're short about 20% sales. We're down like 20% from a normal market. And we've been that way for quite a while now. Why? Because the interest rates got really high and the prices haven't dropped. And we had higher insurance. So all those three, I call it the triple whammy. Prices not dropping, insurance going up, and interest rates not going down. That's the triple whammy. We've been experiencing this for a very long time. But everybody that, all the buyers, what they do is what they're focusing on is, so before COVID, what everybody was complaining of, let's just start through the cycle. So before COVID, we were actually going through a little bit of a tough time. 2018 and 2019 was not great real estate. Appreciation was okay, like 5-6%. Sales were kind of flat because interest rates got a little high that year. We got all the way up to almost 6%. We got up to like 5.94.
5-6% appreciations.
Very good. Very
I was
healthy.
gonna say,
yeah. You're like,
very
is
healthy.
okay. I was like, this is pretty.
But compared to
crushing
what
it.
people expect, right? And they don't have it based on any clue, right? And then so everybody was complaining then, the interest rates are too high. I'm going to wait for the interest rates to drop so I can go buy a house, right? That's what everybody said in 1819 that didn't buy, right? Then you got to 2020, and then we had the COVID crisis. And then the interest rates got down to 3 and below 3.
Right.
And then everybody came just like they said they were going to come. And then what happened? Prices skyrocketed, 20% appreciation 1 year, 22% 1 year appreciation. Crazy town. That's like 5 years appreciation in 1 year, right? And on top of it, because of the low interest rates, buyers were going crazy. So if I had a house to buy and you wanted to buy it, Johnny, and you wanted to buy it, Mike, one of you guys are going to say, I don't need any inspection. I don't need any appraisal. I don't need a financing contingency. Just give me the house. And I was like, sold, right? You're the one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
Even
So-
if you were getting financing.
Right. And this is what and then buyers were complaining. Then the buyers that some buyers took advantage of because they wanted low interest rates. They lost out really compared to 2018 and 2019. They did lose out because if they bought in 2018 or 19, they wouldn't have the competition. They would have paid a little higher in the interest rate. They would have got the house at a lower price than what they paid when the interest rates dropped.
And then just refi.
And then they could have refied.
They could have
Right?
refied.
Then they just refi and went to everybody else. Nah. Look what you have to do. I bought early.
But that's hindsight, Jim.
But it happens every cycle. Happens. I know you're setting me up, Mike. But it
Softball?
happens every. Yep. Thank you, Mike. So, but it happens. It's such an easy, predictable cycle, and people fall into this trap all the time where they get stuck in the numbers and not the end result that they want. So
I think what's hard to predict about the cycle, Jim, is exactly when it's going to happen.
Well,
and being
not if you listen to our show.
well, no,
we're pretty on top of it.
But if I knew the cycle and I knew it was going to happen, I could get on the leading edge of either big movement, right? You know what I mean? I can be out in front of whatever that next move is, but you don't really know when that moment is.
But you do, because let's continue with
Okay.
the stats.
All right.
Okay. So inventory right now, as of March, Palm Beach County has 5.8 months of inventory. You know who also has that much inventory? Port St. Lucie, St. Lucie County. When was the last time St. Lucie County had close to 6 months of inventory? I can't even remember. I know it happened during our show. At times it happened where we got to that number, but it got down to 0.8 months of inventory at one point.
Yeah, we're probably going back to like 08, 09.
I'm thinking more like
2010.
I'm thinking more like 18.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm thinking like it's not going to be a crash, but it's not going to be numbers.
No,
that
I'm
make
just
it
talking. I'm talking inventory wise. I'm not worried about crash. I'm talking
inventory-wise.
inventory wise.
You can't say 08, Johnny, and people they think about the crash.
The crash.
inventory.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Inventory.
No,
I
but
don't know.
you brought
To
up
be honest
inventory.
with you, I don't know what the inventory was back then. It's a great thing. I just don't. I wasn't involved in this aspect of real estate in 08.
I just imagine the inventory would have popped pretty good because of the crash.
I'm sure it had.
2012 was
yeah.
the lowest year as far as like prices. So that to me that would go hand in hand with biggest inventory.
And
right.
and
if
St.
it's the
Lucie
bottom of the market.
and
Oh, yeah.
St. Lucie County had some neighborhoods had 6 years inventory. 6 years, right? It was so scary when I was selling those houses in those neighborhoods. I'm like, how the hell am I going to sell this house? Right? 6-year inventory. I always got them sold, right? I always
Sold.
did it. Yep, I got them done. But
Were you telling yourself at the time, Jim, sell that
sell
house.
that house,
Sell
yeah,
that
sell
house.
that house,
Stupid
sell that
Jim.
house, sell that house. But so the thing is that inventory, right? So you were saying it's hard, Mike, to tell, what's going on.
Okay.
Well, there are numbers that you can know exactly where you are, at least in this moment, and how historically it matches up with other cycles. So now we're in a more of a stable market for buyers. We have 5.8 months of inventory. So that gives an edge to the buyers because that means there's more homes than there are buyers. And what I mean by that is a month of inventory is if you put no other homes on the market based on current sales numbers, how long would it take to gobble everything up and get down to zero? So in Palm Beach County and Martin County, it's 5.8 months. 6 months is a neutral market. That means it's not either an advantage to a buyer or a seller. It's kind of even Steven, and it's kind of, just haggle it out. When you have 1 month of inventory, it's a total seller's market because there's way more buyers than there is inventory.
Right.
And if you have 6 years of inventory, there's way more houses for sale than there are buyers at that moment, right? So right now, we're in a moment that we haven't seen in many, many years where the buyers are actually closer to being in control of the market than the sellers. Now, Mike has
That's
said
why
for
it's the summer of the buyers.
That's one reason why the summer of the buyers. It's just one of the many reasons. Summer of buyers. Yeah, that's right. So Mike has said several shows for months. Even though we haven't hit the 6 months inventory, it feels like a buyer's market, and it does. He isn't just saying that. It totally feels like a buyer's market right now. If I didn't know about the 5.8 months of inventory, I would believe that we're past the 6 months because of the opportunities that the buyers have. So,
and you're seeing it too, the concessions from the seller side, like example after example, you're seeing it because you're in it every day.
Every day.
You're seeing the telltales are that buyers are getting more of what they want kind of going into the negotiations, right? I need some help with cash.
Boom,
ask for a seller concession.
Yeah.
I don't
need help on interest rates.
Yeah.
Seller concession.
We're a little bit worried about appraised value, so we kind of have to, that it's
I need some repairs. You got to give me that new roof.
Yes.
You got to give me that new roof because I'm going to pay a huge insurance premium.
Yeah, or price it as if I got to pay for the new roof.
So there's all these things that you could do. Hey, I need to sell my house. Give me time to sell my house to buy your house, right? Or vice versa. Hey, I'll let you buy my house, but you got to give me time.
Or hey, Jim, what do you think? Let's make our initial offer, like set all the concession. I think they're overpriced. Let's come in, 20,000 below their ask, right?
Yes.
And that's not like tossed out the window, right? Like that's a legitimate starting.
Yeah,
I'm not saying 20 exactly, but you know what I mean. Under.
Some sellers aren't going to give you the finger and say, "There's the door." Some of them are going to say, "Let's talk."
You'll be like, okay, well, we haven't had a lot of foot traffic. We haven't had any offers. You're the first one coming in. It's low, but okay, let's talk.
So you have better negotiation attempts. The best negotiation. This is the best negotiating for buyers that we've had in years. And I'm not joking about that, guys, right? And the reason why I'm being so forceful about this is because you guys are inundated, and I feel bad for you because people are inundated with article after article and news clip after news clip about how bad it is for the buyers. And it really isn't. If you're out there actually in the field doing it, it isn't that bad at all. There's a lot of opportunities out there. Now, here's another statistic that people always rely on. So the first thing is home prices, right? And months of inventory. There's not enough houses for sale. I can't get a good deal. Well, there are houses for sale, so that gets wiped out. Oh, interest rates are too high, right? Well, high compared to what? Are you comparing it to the 2.65 from January 7th, 2021?
Right.
Which is the lowest interest rate ever recorded in the history of the United States for
the
Freddie
history
Mac.
Of the world.
History of the world, right? The universe, right? The universe. So 2.65 was the lowest interest rate ever recorded by Freddie Mac. It was January 7th, 2021. Why do I remember that date? Because that's the anniversary date of our show, January 7th. So easy for me to remember that.
Okay.
But I hope that doesn't ever break. That's like a cool statistic to have, to have memorized.
Did you see the 1 week change this week?
Yes, it went flat, right?
Zero.
It was flat, zero change,
No change.
Right? So when before we went to the whole tariff thing and everybody lost their religion, we were at like 6.65 roughly. And then we jumped up pretty high. Now, Freddie Mac didn't really record the high jump because it only happened for a couple of days. But we went from like 6.65 to like in the sevens. Then we dropped down. Freddie Mac showed a 6.86 or something, or 6.88. And we've been going down a little bit ever since then. And we're down at 6.76, Mike. Is that where we're at?
6.76, correct.
6.76. We only started at 6.65. So that's an extra $1.50 a month on your mortgage. Right? I'm joking. So the interest rates have kind of been even stable, except for that couple of day blip. It's been pretty stable. And 6.5, Mike. 6.5 to 7 is pretty much where we've been for like 18 months now.
Yep.
Right. Pretty much.
Yep.
So the interest rates aren't high. They stabilized. That's what happened. We were extremely low at one point, and it took a long time to get up to more of a stable. And let me tell you, I just did the 20-year history of interest rates. 6.5 is like right in the middle. It's not high, it's not low. It's what people pay.
It is amazing how a couple of years completely destroyed a thought process. Completely
It's almost like
destroyed a thought
crack
process.
cocaine or meth. You do it one time and you're never the same again, right?
Yeah, there's a number of examples you can throw out, but this is a really good one.
Yeah, it really is.
The view of interest rate.
I think it's there's so much talk about it, right? It's so easy to get information, especially like tidbits of information like that, where the decision making of whether or not you're going to buy a home is based on the interest rate.
That's
like
it.
that's the factor.
Right, that's it. That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
It's not. I mean,
now
I hate to say it's ridiculous. I think it's something you think about, but it's not the piece of information that's important to whether you should buy a home or not.
Factor, but it isn't. It isn't. If it was weighted, if it was a weighted factor, it wouldn't be 50% of your decision.
That's right.
It shouldn't be, right?
Not
It
even
should
close.
be, right.
What
Not even
all
close.
goes into my monthly nut, Mike? What all numbers matter?
That was a weird question. Hold on, let me process what you just. No, so I think that to me, it's even to simplify it. It's I always, anytime I say this, I feel like I'm like a used car salesman. Like, hey, what payment's going to get you into the door? But ultimately, when you're making a decision about your housing payment, whether it's renting or buying or whatever it is, it's like, what do I pay per month to live here?
That's right.
Right. So your mortgage payment is the critical factor in my view, right? Along with features of the home, features of the area, like, your checkbox, where do you want to live? Does the house check the boxes? Does the areas work? Also, what's my monthly payment?
Right.
And of course, how much cash do I need? But right, what's my monthly payment? So the interest rate obviously is part of that, but so is the sales price.
Yep.
So is your property taxes.
Yep.
So is your homeowners.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
So with what I did, Mike, is I took your app, because the first thing a buyer should know before they start, I mean, you can go on Zillow and Trulia and Realtor and mess around. But if you're using one of those mortgage calculators on those websites, or you search those Scud missile companies, and you're using their things, it isn't the same as using an app that is created for you based on your financial numbers created by the mortgage company that you're going to be using to do your deal.
Right.
And that's one of the benefits of working with Mike. So I used somebody else's app, and I plugged in the numbers for 3718 Victoria Drive, Kathy Bruce's house, the townhome that we just put on the market, just to show what a good deal could be for a first-time home buyer, because this could be a great first-time home buyer property. So,
or it's kind of like, okay, you get a home that's in the low 300s, or call it 300, townhome in an HOA community. Like, what's that going to look like for somebody with a low down payment?
Exactly. Yeah. So what we did was
are you in the app right now?
Yes, I'm in your app right now.
Wow.
So hold on here.
Karen.
Okay, so it won't let me. Unfortunately, this person isn't using FHA financing, so I can't use FHA, only 5% down. But let's just say that somebody paid the full asking price of $310,000 for the townhome, and they were putting 5% down, which is $15,500 down on the $310,000. Then you have a mortgage amount, Mike, of $294,500. Can you do that times 0.05? 294,500.
You want me to do that?
So I can find out how much money we're going to get the state from the state of Florida. The 5% on the loan.
Okay.
294,500.
Gotcha. Hold on.
Okay. So what Mike is doing right now, people, is the Hometown Heroes program is a down payment assistance program that's going to open up very soon. And Mike's going to give us a timeline where you can get 5% of the loan value, not the purchase price, and get that back to help pay for your down payment and closing costs. So in this case, if we're paying $310,000 and we're putting 5% down, we have a $294,500 balance, which is how much we get back from the state for that.
So the down payment assistance would be $14,725.
Okay, so $14,725, and your down payment is only $15,500, right? So that means that you only need to bring to the table, I think, $1,250 for the down payment, and then the state's giving you the rest. Now, you still have closing costs. So the closing costs in this house, besides the down payment, they're estimating $5,847 $5,847 for the prepaid escrow money.
Okay.
And then your closing costs are $76.36. So you would only have to bring $15,000 to buy this home. Okay. But you don't necessarily have to bring $15,000 to buy the home, right, Mike?
So, I mean, 15,000 is required. So where's it coming from? Right? Where are you going to get it?
Seller time.
Yeah. Seller time. Right.
So now it's going to come seller time, right? So now we're going to try to, my first question is, if you're getting down payment assistance under the Hometown Heroes, can the seller give you money too?
Sure. Yes.
And how much can they give you? I know it depends on the loan, but rough, I don't want to get too wonky here, Mike, with the different loans. But
yeah.
What are the ranges that you can get?
Let's say 3 to 6% of the
Extra?
sales price as a credit from the seller.
Sales price.
On top of the
now,
5% you're getting from the state.
That sounds really good. You know, if you're like 6%, so 6% on a $300,000 home, $18,000.
You're giving me money when I close.
Right?
I get money at closing.
Yeah. So, but there's going to be one limit there, which is technically you can't get a credit more than the total of your closing costs.
So I can't get a check at closing.
Yeah. Now you could increase your closing costs,
right,
one way or the other.
Right.
Although if you're using down payment, it's a little bit crazy. But yeah. So
you can't.
If you can negotiate it like that, Jim,
right.
I think the point is like one big question is how much money is required to buy a home, right? And once you know kind of ballpark what that is, then you say, okay, where's all that money going to come from, right? I've got this much saved up. Maybe I've got some family who's willing to help out a little bit here. I'm using down payment assistance, but I'm a little bit short. Where is that extra going to come from? And that's when you should almost do this, and especially in this type of market, you could be asking for concessions no matter what on every deal that you're making an offer on. So like get as much as you can.
So let's say that you only had $5,000 in your pocket, but you could still qualify for the loan.
Yep.
Okay. And you're short $10,000 in this case because you need 15 to bring to the table.
Right.
Well, you can go to the seller and say, hey, I'll give you $310, but I want you to give me $10,000 back at closing. So that I'm going to put that towards my closing costs and down payment. And then I'm going to bring to the table $5,000. And I got my new home. He's in hand for $5,000. And that can happen. And we used to do it all the time back in the day. And now we have the ability to do it again. And we weren't able to do this for a long time because the sellers would say, why am I going to give you that deal when I have 5 other people that want to buy my house and don't have to ask
No,
for
but
that
we're
money?
a great family.
Yeah,
we
right.
really
And then
love
you
the
write
neighborhood,
then
right?
you write the Dear Mary letters or whatever, which isn't as good as when the sellers are in a weaker market. So this is a great opportunity where you can get money from the state and the sellers in order to help buy your property. If you're a first-time home buyer. Now, let's just talk about down payment assistance really quick, Mike. Down payment assistance is where the state of Florida, the state is giving you money to help pay for your down payment and closing costs. Now, there's 2 main programs that we're talking about here. I call it the Florida Bond Program and the Hometown Heroes Program. The Florida Bond Program is all year long. And that program, even if you miss out on the Hometown Heroes, the Florida Bond Program, you can get $10,000 flat from the state, $10,000 to help pay for your down payment and closing costs. With the Hometown Heroes, which starts July 1st, that program, you're allowed to get up to 5% of the loan value. So in this case, if somebody were to use the Florida Bond Program, they'd only get $10,000 from for 3718 Victoria Drive. But if you use the Hometown Heroes, they can get $15,000 basically, an extra $5,000. Same type of program. Both programs, you do have to pay back the money, but you don't pay it until you pay off the loan, you move out of the house, or you refi it. Okay. The second thing is that you don't accrue interest on the money that they give you. So if you get $10,000 and you keep the house for 10 years and you sell it, all you have to do is give the state back $10,000. You're not giving $10,000 plus interest. Right. So it's a really good way. It's free money until you pay the house off.
That's it.
Right.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to give you this money, Jim. Take this 10K, just hold it for me.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, The Godfather, like hold these guns for me. Right. Remember
exactly,
Godfather too.
Right. So the thing is that those programs are really, really helpful to first-time home buyers. Here's another misconception. What is a first-time home buyer? So, Mike, tell me all the regulations because it isn't just first-time home buyers.
Yeah, so technically, the first-time home buyer designation applies if you have not owned a primary residence within the last 3 years.
Primary.
You
could have been a landlord this whole time.
I can have several investment properties, and if I've been renting, right, for the past 3 years, I'm technically a first-time home buyer as far as these programs go. Any of those definitions.
3-year window.
3-year window. So
Jim, you're first-time home.
I am. I'm good, and I'm going to be using this program. I'm going to use one of these two programs because I qualify for it.
Yep.
And I'm going to take advantage of it. And everything I'm telling everybody right now, I'm using Mike's app. Looking at properties. I'm trying to figure out what sellers are going to give me discounts. I looked at 3 homes this weekend. Some of them wouldn't allow me to wait for the down payment assistance program to start. So they wouldn't go into contract with me because I wanted a longer close.
Right.
So I said, okay, I'm just going to pass. I'll wait. Well, I looked at 4 homes. One of them went under contract, 3 didn't. I'll never give full asking price of those 3. Last week I might have, right? If I end up going back to them,
right?
I'm never going to give them the full asking price.
How do you mean if they're still on the market when you're
if they're still on the market? I'm never going to do that because they turned me down the first time.
It's a really good real world example of kind of getting things lined up and then being able to be very selective in like your timing, because you don't have to do anything right this second. You do want to target hometown heroes because you're at a price point where it makes sense to you getting more than 10,000. So it makes sense to do that. And you're thinking about, okay, well, when do I need to get into contract in order to make sure I secure the hometown heroes? Listen, guys, the hometown heroes that comes out to $100 million. It's going to be funded July, whatever the first week of July is. It's going to go quickly, right? We're probably a month and a half where funds are going to be available.
Let's slow down on that a little bit, Mike.
So I want to talk about that. The point is, like, you have done everything so that you're now at the position. So you got pre-approved, kind of like what your strategy is with the cash.
Mm-hmm.
You've kind of zeroed in on one or more areas where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at the homes that are in those areas and you're watching and you're saying, hey, there's an opportunity. Let me talk to them and see if they can meet my timeline. And if not, he's okay to just sit back. But the whole point is he's ready. He's analyzing numbers. He's ready to make an offer if the right one presents itself in the right situation, or you can sit back and wait and you can spy those ones like, hey, if this one's still on the market in 3 weeks, I'm gonna pounce on it.
And with the app, there were a few homes that I was over budget for, and they were saying, no, your mortgage payment's too high.
Okay.
Now, I probably could have qualified for the higher mortgage because we're being conservative, but I don't want to. I don't want to go that high. So those houses, what I started doing is like, okay, if I don't give them full, what do I have to give them that's going to get me to the mortgage payment I want?
Yeah.
What do I call that? I call that my Maui Wowie, right? My maximum allowable offer. I'm not going to go a penny over because I don't want my mortgage payment to be higher than that, right? So if they don't want to take my offer at that price, it isn't the right house for me, right? And you have to know the numbers that well, guys. And, once you're taught how to do it between me and Mike, from the realtor perspective and the mortgage perspective, these apps are so valuable, and I'm learning.
And you're looking at it in a way that allows you to make decisions. Like, you're getting the information you need so that you can make decisions. So, and it's like, so it's super critical in the house hunting process that you have the information that you need to make decisions on any particular home. And it's not painful to get set up that way. And if you are the person that we talked about earlier, who's just, you're waiting for something, my argument, right? My position is you're waiting for the stars to align, the right home at the right monthly number, right? Yep, that's right. Even if you want to say I need it at the right price, that's fine too. You don't need it at the right interest rate. Like, that's not the approach. You need the right payment, which is a combination of price and down payment and interest rate and all of that. But ultimately, you need the right payment. So, but if you're not where Jim is at, like if you're a buyer, Jim, you know that you're going to be doing something. You're a buyer, not because it's a great time to buy or you got investment opportunities or something like that. It's basically this is the time for you to buy. You've been renting for whatever, and Rents are where they are and buying is where it's at, right? Like you've analyzed that choice. And so now it's just like get lined up. So you get pre-approved, right? You talk to Mike, you make sure that your credit is where it needs to be. You got your income dialed in, you got your debts dialed in, you know how much money is going to take, and you're ready.
And I'm self-employed, so I had to talk to Mike. Then I had to talk to Jared's Perry CPA group. Then Jared told me to call Mike, and then I had to call Mike and ask Mike questions. Then Mike gave me answers. Then I called Jared again, right?
Yeah.
And go back and forth a little bit. Now where we're at, Mike wants to review all my tax returns before we submit them to make sure everything's going to be okay.
I mainly want to make sure you don't mess it up.
Right. That's how you have, but that's how you have to do it.
Yep.
Right. It's like you don't just do it and go, oh, I took care of my tax returns. Then you go to the mortgage company. If you haven't done your tax returns yet and you haven't finished them, it's a great time to talk to the mortgage company first and then let them give you insight or help or coaching of what they would like to see. If it's doable.
It could be like, hey, are you able to go on extension?
Right.
You should do that.
Right. Sometimes they might say, hey, we're going to use last year's taxes and extend this year if you're allowed.
Most recently filed return.
Right.
How about that?
Right. So there's all these things. So you can't just make these decisions. You should talk to the professionals.
That's right.
In the meantime,
you got to have pros in your corner. Always remember FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. When you need a pros pro in a situation where you're buying a home, selling a home, you're stuck with a home, you don't know what to do. Preparation for buying a home. Anything that touches the world of real estate, you got a professional at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Remember, also, as we're live, you're welcome to join us toll free at 877-927-6969. You want to get involved with the conversation, and you're more than welcome. Of course, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com for those that are not.
Thank you, Johnny. Now, Mike, one of the things I learned a couple weeks ago from you, and I'm learning, right? I'm here on the show all the time, but I still learn. Mike, what I was surprised about, I knew that the Hometown Heroes program starts July 1st. We're probably going to get $100 million put in there because that's what happened the last couple of years. I think this is the third or fourth year that the program's been around. And the program's changed a little bit because at first, the reason why they call it the Hometown Heroes, it was like police, firefighters, first line defense people, then and teachers and medical people. Then it expanded.
That was the second expansion.
Oh, what was the first one then?
Yeah, just like frontline,
just
police, fire,
right, and military,
and I think teachers.
Yeah, teachers, and then it expanded to medical.
Yeah,
but then it was medical like hospitals and that kind of thing. But then it expanded to like chiropractors and chiropractor.
They opened it up. Yeah, at one point it was like, hey, we're doing Hometown Heroes, and it's now eligible for over 50 professions or over 75 professions in those fields. So medical, education. You didn't have to be a teacher. You could be part of the county, whatever.
And
so
the reason why they created this program is to make housing affordable. That's what the whole thing was about, is that they knew there was a lot of people out there that were working in all these professions for government or helping the community, but they couldn't really afford a home. And so a lot of people can afford a mortgage payment, but they can't afford the down payment and closing costs. So that's why this program was created, to help them get over that. Hey, I can afford an X amount of mortgage payment, but I'm never going to raise $25,000 to put on a down payment on. I mean,
if you think about, how much is a family able to save, right? So your renters situation, what are you able to save? And so even to save $12,000 over a year, you need to put $1,000 a month into a savings account. That's it's
pretty tough.
I mean, just even that amount is tough. And so that's always been one of the big barriers, is like how much cash is required to buy a home. And of course, way back in the day, it was the 20% down payment. Well, they had created mortgage insurance. So now you can have a little bit more exposure for the lender, and you do these low down payment options. So FHA at 3.5%, VA loan at 0%. Conventional, 5% is the traditional low down payment. So it's always been something that has been thought about and tried to have solutions. So now down payment assistance has come in to try and help people get over that particular hump.
And we've used it for ever since it's been. And
Johnny had down payment assistance on his home he bought in 2014.
That's why I want to say we've been using down payment assistance programs on the show. Basically, if they were available, we used them if they helped our people. And I don't know of anybody, I'm knocking on wood here, but I don't know of anybody that we got loans for or bought houses for with these down payment assistance programs that went belly up, right? I didn't hear a lot of people, hey, I can't make my mortgage payment, I'm going to lose my house. You don't hear that because that's what a lot of people that don't like the down payment assistance program, they can't afford the house, right?
If you can't
if
save
they
money,
can't save the money, they can't afford the house.
Yeah.
Well, my experience is it's just they can't save the money for the down payment, but they make their mortgage payment on time.
Sure.
And they're being qualified to make sure that they can make the mortgage payment before you get the loan. But the thing that was really surprising about Mike, and I want people to hear this today, if you're thinking about using these programs, I was thinking, I'm going to go to Mike, like, I'll start really looking hard July 1st, get into contract in 30 days. Right. And then
you were kind of working backwards from your lease terminate, right? Your lease is up
because
here.
Of my lease.
Ideally, Jim doesn't want to have a rent payment and a mortgage payment. He doesn't want them to overlap. So, and that's a relevant starting position. Like, hey, I'm going to move here when my lease is up, especially if you're renters. And it gets back to, so Jim, we can't wait that long.
Yeah. So Mike said, hey, your timeline's off. So can you explain what you would recommend if somebody's thinking of buying this summer and they want to use that program and they want to beat out the other people? Oh, the other thing I forgot to set up. Mike is saying that that $100 million over the last couple of years, Mike has a portal to get into the funds and find out, like other mortgage companies, not just Mike, but to find out how much. Really?
I have exclusive access.
Right. But he has a way to see exactly how much money has been allocated, how much money has been earmarked for certain closings, and what's left over. And I used to think you had 10 to 12 weeks, but Mike is saying, no, I think it's 6 weeks, right? You've got like a 6-week period to get that money.
I kind of looked at it for last year, Jim. And so they Florida Housing is the state, quasi state organization that kind of administers this. And they started sending out, hey, funds are almost exhausted. Those emails, that first funds are almost exhausted was a month, right?
Only 1 month.
August, beginning of August. And by mid-August, it was like, okay, funds are fully reserved. Now, funds are fully reserved means $100 million allocated fund has been reserved for closings that were either closed or happening, they're going to be closing. And so there was some fallout from the reserve stuff that got reserved, came back in. But essentially, it was 6 weeks when the funds were fully committed.
So you can't wait till July 1st, especially if it's going to be harder to find your home. You can't wait till July 1st and think you're going to get that money to start the process. You're going to be way behind. I started it once Mike told me that. I had to change everything I was going to do. Because I thought June was going to be, I was going to do this thing. I had a personal thing, and then I was going to come back and deal with all this. But now I'm like, I can't. I got to deal with it.
Calling off the wedding.
Yeah. So exactly right. So I had to really change around my timing for everything. And then here's one of the things in real life that you'll have to experience, because you're trying to get into contract. Like last week, I tried to possibly get in contract with one of those properties. I didn't really want to do it, but I was like, if they agree to close it on a certain date, which gave us like a 60-day close, right? Like a 60-day close. I really wanted like a 75-day close. I was like, if I can get this one unit, I might do 60 days and just eat it because I like the unit. The sellers were like, no way, we're not giving you 60 days to close. It's still on the market. It's been 7 days. They already ate up 10% of the 60 days that I was asking for. They should have just taken it, right? Now they're
and if it's on the market in another week, and you'll go back to them.
I'm actually waiting 2 weeks. And if it comes back 2 weeks, I'm dropping the price. I already have it in my mind. It's like, okay, if they're going to play this way, I'll be happy to buy it at this. And if they don't, I'll wait till another one comes up. Right. But so it's very important that you get the timing for the $100 million Hometown Heroes program right. If you're a buyer, you've got to start working on it now. If you want to buy July, August, if you're thinking about buy July and August, you're here.
You've got the, I would say so the Hometown Heroes Fund, you can't reserve your funds unless you're in contract.
Right.
So when would you say, I would say bring me a contract in July. If you're not bringing me a contract in July, there's a chance you're missing out. Like you could, get into contract first week of August, we're probably okay. Second week, we're probably okay.
But not guaranteed.
Not guaranteed.
Right.
And even if it stretches longer, there's still going to be little opportunities. But if you want to like slam dunk guarantee, be in contract in July, what's it take before you're in contract, Jim? House hunting, right? How long does that take? Depends on your situation, depends on your price point, depends on the inventory and your price point, depends on what you're looking for. I don't want to say picky, but
right.
Yeah,
you got to have certain features.
Yep.
And before you start house hunting, you got to get pre-approved because you need a loan. I'm assuming you need a loan. You got to know where you stand as far as the financing goes. How long does it take to get pre-approved? Hey, could be one day. Could be a little bit longer than that. Depends on your situation, right?
Also
like what if
on how quickly they're
get
getting
documents,
you the information
right?
that you need.
But what if you have some little credit thing that you need to figure out, right? Or what if you have maybe you have you're self-employed, you got to file taxes, you got to just little things that you don't know until you talk to somebody. So I could have you pre-approved tomorrow. I could say, hey, listen, we got to do this. Maybe it's going to be a few weeks, or maybe it's going to be a month, right? Or maybe, hey, Hometown Heroes isn't for you, but we're going to take advantage of this stuff when you're ready. So all of those are like potential outcomes. But if you want Hometown Heroes fundings this year, like you and I need to be speaking now. Like we got to get on if you haven't talked to anybody about lending, you haven't had the pre-approval is looking at credit, looking at income, debts, and your cash, and kind of like loan programs. So you got to do that now.
FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. You can get connected to the pros like Mike Rao, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
So I want to switch away from down payment assistance. I'm sorry.
I just want to say one thing. So I'm talking, it's kind of like urgent. I'm not trying to create a sense of urgency unless what we're talking about applies for you. Like you're at a price point where getting more than 10,000 down payment assistance is important, right? Like you give 15, 20, 25,000, all the way up to 35,000, kind of hard to get there with the income limits, but you can get that money. So if that's you and you're a buyer this summer, right? Or maybe the second half of 2025. Yeah. If you want that, it's urgent. The time is now. Okay.
Even if you just want to spend other people's money.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Even if that's not you now, but maybe next year, I want to talk to you too. Right. It's not urgent, but I want to talk to you too, because we can get lined up for the same timing next year. So
I just don't want to have happen what happened the last couple of years. That buyers come right after the program ended. I'm like, oh man, you just lost $8,000. If you came to me 4 weeks early, you would have made an extra $8,000 to help you out. And I always bums me out when I see people like that. And most of the time it's okay because it isn't, they were kind of clueless about it anyway. So they didn't know they were losing out on the money. Only I knew. Right. But anyway, don't do that to yourself. Now, one thing I want to talk about more is about knowing your numbers a little bit more. So one of the things I'm doing is, so Mike, when you get a loan, and I have a house, and the house is showing that it's $3,500 a year for taxes. Okay.
Yep.
And let's say that $3,500 a year for property taxes is homesteaded. Okay, it's a homesteaded property.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I buy the property, you're going to use that $3,500 in order for me to get qualified for the loan, right?
That's right.
But in real life, that is not the tax bill I'm really going to pay.
That's correct.
And so what I do is, in order to protect myself, right? What I do is I go to like in Palm Beach County, I go to the Palm Beach County property appraiser. Dorothy Jack's website's pretty good, right? Compared to the other property appraisers, I like hers. And Dorothy Jack's, she has a tax calculator, estimator.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's different than anything you're going to get online. This is specifically for Palm Beach County in this case, right? Only in Palm Beach County properties, and you type into the calculator, and then you put in the address that you want to buy. And I always put in the full list price because I'm probably not going to pay that, but that would be the worst case scenario is I'm paying full. And I put in the full list price, and then I say, am I homesteading the property or not? Because they give you that clickable button. And then it'll tell you what they think your real tax bill is going to be, not the other people's, but your new reset tax bill.
With the portability involved?
I don't have portability, so I'm not using it, but I'm going to get to that next. Okay, so this is just to calculate new tax bill on a new purchase. So then what I do is I take that number, Mike, the bigger number, and I put that into my app. That
Okay.
way I really know what my mortgage payment's going to be when I'm done.
Yeah, I think for
Is that a bad idea to do?
No, I think it's a really good idea if you're thinking about budget, like, and what's my real housing price or housing obligation going to be, not based on the current homeowner's low taxes, but based on what taxes are going to be for me. So
Now,
it
can
just
you
gives you a
explain that?
longer term picture.
Could you just explain why the taxes change?
So the current taxes are based on the current ownership, right?
Mhm.
So this year's the latest tax bill generated is based on the current owner of the home. And if somebody has been in their home for a number of years and they've had a homestead exemption in place for a number of years, their taxes are lower than if they didn't have a homestead exemption, right?
Mhm.
That whole time, what it would be. And so it's part of the property tax savings we kind of started the show talking about, is like these homeowners have lower taxes than their neighbor who doesn't have a homestead exemption, right? Or a new buyer who's not going to have the homestead exemption right away. So and we qualify your qualifying payment, your initial payment is based on the existing property tax bill. And so you can take advantage of that, Jim. That could allow you to kind of increase your purchasing power from a qualifying perspective, right?
To get you into the house.
Yeah.
But then you have that, I mean, nothing wrong with this, but you have to know you're going to get a sticker shock moment later.
You should have conversations about that.
Yeah.
The loan originator should be talking to you about, hey guys, some this November or next November, whatever it is, you're going to see a jump in your property taxes. We can get in right now. You qualify for it. I know we're pushing your budget already. I just want you to know that's going to go up. And if we want to predict what it's going to be, the tax estimators can be part of that picture. But yeah, from a budgeting perspective, I want to know where I'm going to be a year from now in my payment.
Yes, so I use that. Now, the other thing that's on the Palm Beach County Property Appraiser is the portability calculator, which is Johnny's talking about. Now, Greg and Diane, who were on the show last week, I think they didn't realize, if I'm wrong about this, guys, I apologize, but there was a couple that didn't realize that they could take portability, and it's a huge savings. Jimmy's done portability. You saved a lot of money on your portability. The concept of portability is you've had the benefit of having your house homesteaded, the house that you own now, homesteaded for many, many years, and you had a lot of savings on your taxes because of that. But now when you buy your new home, without portability, it resets the new home at the new price you paid, and now you're paying this super high tax bill compared to what you were paying on your other home. So what they do is they have a calculator on that site where you type in the address and you type in certain information, and it'll tell you how much savings you can get on the new home based on the homestead exemption you had on the home you're selling, right? And based on that, you can get some savings. Now, Jimmy, how much money did you save on that?
It ended up being about $3,000 worth of taxes each year.
Each year, $3,000 savings. So that's like $250 a month, roughly, right?
Yep.
So he saved $250 a month on what he would have paid if he didn't own a home before and transferred over those savings. Yeah. If he had just bought the home directly, didn't own a home before, he'd be paying $250 a month more.
Or if you don't even know about it, I mean, they're not going to apply it for you.
Government isn't going to give it to you.
Exactly.
You got to ask.
They're not going to tell you. It's one of those programs that it's out there, it exists, but if you don't follow through with it, it won't happen. And I always kind of looked at it this way too, or it made it easier for me to understand. Homestead, your normal homestead is what? I think it's 50,000, right? Is what you take. So the property, the value of your home, you deduct 50,000 and boom, that's what the tax base is on that value. Now what you do, the portability is you're taking the value of your old home, the difference between the new and the old, and you get that much more in the deduction. So that's what you're doing. So but basically, right? I'm just trying to make it basic, right? Right, Mike? I mean, I know Mike's the one that taught us.
Mike Swanky.
I was wondering if Timothy could explain it to the everyman. I'm not sure if he got it, but it's basically it.
What you're doing is the 50,000 is what you're taking off the value, and what's taxed. You're adding to that. Adding to that.
Well, what's happening is that you save money every single year you own that house when it was homesteaded. And that savings, based on the value of the home that you have now, they try to transfer mathematically the same ratio over to the new house. and then you set it. So your new house could be more expensive than your old house, but they have a mathematical ratio calculation to say
The golden ratio.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know. I never heard the golden ratio.
Oh, doesn't
Never
that
heard of that.
Leonardo da Vinci, like the ratio of
Oh, I didn't
arms to
know. I
legs
know
to
you-
whatever?
oh, I
Did you
didn't-
get it, Johnny? Yet you got it?
A little
I think so.
I don't know how
Yeah.
deep
Bo-
because
bottom-
I have my way of explaining it.
Oh,
All right.
well, okay,
But
let's
I
get
don't
the
know if it's
mic
gonna
way.
get-
Let's get
Here-
the mic
all right.
way.
Here's the mic way. You ready? All right. So when it comes to your property taxes,
Mhm.
there are three kind of numbers in play. The first is the market value of your home, right? That's what goes up and down with the market. That's basically what they say. Now, does that match the real estate market? Not necessarily, usually lower, but market value, that's the starting point. You then have the assessed value of your home. Then you have the taxable value of your home,
Mhm.
right? So if you didn't have a homestead exemption in place, all three of those numbers would be the same, right? Market value 400,000, assessed value 400,000, taxable value 400,000, and you pay a percentage, your millage rate on the taxable value. The first year you have your homestead exemption in place, the market value 400,000, assessed value 400,000, taxable value 350, right? So you're paying taxes on 50,000 less than your assessed value. But then every year moving forward after that, the market value will go up or down, but up ideally with the market.
Appreciate
The assessed value can only go up 3%. So it's capped on how much it can go up. So assessed value can only increase 3% year over year.
because of your homesteading.
Right. The taxable value is always 50,000 less than the assessed value. Right. So as the more years you have your homestead in place, the market value is going up and up and up through the years.
Hopefully,
The assessed value is only going up incrementally. Right.
3% max.
3% max.
Do they max it every year?
Yeah.
No,
As a matter of fact, I saw one where the home value went down, but the assessed value went up 3%.
Oh, I was going to say I didn't think that because I always tell
That caught my
everybody that
attention.
when it goes up, you're capped at 3%, but it can go down as low as the.
And I was like,
As
how
the
did the
floor is.
assessed value go up when my market
that's
value went
weird.
down 10%, my assessed value went up 3%? I'm sure the likely explanation is, well, you have such a gap, right? So the gap that develops between market value and assessed value is what's portable to the new home.
Oh, that's
Right.
the
So
gap,
let's
yeah.
say over the year, I've had my homestead exemption in place for 12 years. My market value is 600,000. My assessed value is 415, right, or 425 or something, right? So let me make the math easy. Let's say it's 450.
400. Or
Let's
just
say it's 450,
Okay.
right? I have $150,000 of kind of property
Built
tax
up
savings that is
yeah.
portable to the new home. So now when
So-
I go buy my new $500,000 home, instead of the first year, the market value and assessed value being both 500, it's 500 and 350 because that 150 came in and reduced, it kept my assessed value, $150,000 lower than market value because
So-
that's what was portable.
So for somebody that bought at a low cost, low value, right?
Yes.
And stayed in their home 10 years, saw a ton of appreciation,
Yes.
homesteaded the whole time versus somebody that bought at, we'll say low value, but the market didn't change for that 10 years. It stayed the same. The
Mhm.
value for that homesteading is much more for the person that rode that appreciation and locked in than it is for that flat.
compared to the neighbors in the neighborhood
Right.
without a homestead.
Right.
And that portability is super critical. Now, if let's say I've built up a huge portability, $500,000.
Yeah.
When I go to my new home, I might be buying a new home less than 500, right? So that's where the ratio comes in. So if your portability, let's call it, it was 33% of the market value, you're going to transfer that 33%. So sometimes it's a fixed number.
So if
Sometimes
you
it's a
sell
ratio.
$500,000 home, but you're buying a $250,000 home, you're downsizing.
Yeah.
You still get a percentage ratio of the savings.
Yeah. I think
Um,
the good thing, like you don't have to know all of this nuance. And Jimothy, we really explored at the time because he was he's like, well, where are we going to be in November of 2025 or 2026? And so we were able to work that out. We went even, in fact, like we didn't use the tax estimator. We go and we look at real numbers. Same thing you and I just did the other day, which is like, okay, here's what based on current market value, what's the market value going to be next year? And we did some math and we got a very close prediction. But you don't have to know all that. All you have to know is if you want your property tax to be as low as possible, so you file your homestead exemption. If you were a previous homeowner in Florida and you sold within the last 3 years, that portability that you had on your previous homestead it's transferable.
And that's another thing. So you could sell the house in 2025 and you have until basically same day 2028 in order to use that portability. So if you sell your house and you rent for a year and then you buy a house a year later,
still portable.
You still get portability.
Yeah.
It is, you don't lose it as soon as you go.
That's cool.
Now I don't get portability because I went through.
But it's the same timeline. It's 3 years, you said.
Yeah.
So right when you lose your portability, then you can get into a down
First
payment
time,
assistance.
yeah, you can get it first time. That's kind of what happened to me in a way because I went through a divorce. So my ex ended up using the portability because she ended up buying a home right away. And then I lost out on that because you both can't get the portability when you get a divorce, right? You get a percentage of.
It's 50-50.
Yeah, but
you can have the other spouse sign over their
which
portability.
Is what I did because I wasn't buying at that time, so
yeah.
I was being nice and I did that. But the bottom line is
you did the right thing, Jim.
Yeah, I try.
No.
So the bottom line is you really got to know those numbers. Okay, so now
hold on. Which explanation did it for you, Johnny? Was it Jimmy's, or mine, or was it all of them?
I like Mike's best.
No, I like mine best. Go to the calculator, type it in on the site, and don't ask any questions. It'll spit out a number. You don't have to worry about any of why, right? You got the answer. That's all you care about. Oh, I got that savings. Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, because
that's my vote.
Mike's explanation actually put it in my head to where there is like some comparative value in like similar circumstances where one can be more valuable than the other. It's all dictated by the market, truly.
Mm-hmm.
And how it's performed while you've lived there under your homesteading.
So now let's go into a couple other things, okay? Because we went through down payment. Now the other thing I want to talk about is
FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, by the way. If you need pros, remember FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
Is understanding I'm sorry. Before we get into negotiations, I wanted to talk about something else. And I can't remember.
Was it related to pre-approval?
Price reduction versus a credit.
Oh,
okay. I want to talk about that, right? Because this is really good stuff. And people think right away, I used to do it until Mike taught me this, right? I used to right away just go, hey, let's knock 5,000 off the price. Let's 10,000 off the price. Let's knock off 25,000 off the price. And that isn't always the best savings a buyer can get. Sometimes it's better not to reduce the price and use and negotiate a different way. So Mike, could you talk a little bit about those concepts of price drop versus a credit?
So I think it depends on what your goal is, but if the goal is to retain money in your pocket, then a seller credit towards your costs is much more effective than a price reduction.
How come?
So if you do, let's say take $10,000, right? So if I'm doing financing and I'm doing 5% down, okay, a $10,000 price reduction reduces my financial obligation, how much money I have to put in, by
$70.
Well, it's
68.
It's 5% of the 10K.
No, wait. What did you just say?
So if I do a 10,000,
I was jumping over an answer. I was doing something else.
You were going on to like what's the impact on the payment? Okay, no, but let's just talk about cash positions, right? So if I get a $10,000 price reduction, but I'm borrowing 95% of the purchase price, right? I'm putting down 5%. My loan is 95% of the purchase price. So a $10,000 price reduction reduces my down payment requirement by 5% of 10 grand.
Oh, so that's only $500.
Right. So that $10,000 price reduction, yes, I'm buying the home 10,000 less, but my cash requirement only got reduced by $500.
Right.
Versus
you're going to borrow 10,000 less.
You're going to borrow 10,000 less. So of course, over the long term, financially prudent, what's the better? Of course, borrow the least amount you can. Right. Okay. But in practical terms, the seller credit I can use towards my closing costs. So I'm buying the home 10,000 more, but I'm taking $10,000 and directing it towards my closing costs, which means my cash requirements is reduced by $10,000, not $500. Right. So which one would you do? If you're super financially prudent and you didn't have a cash crunch for any reason, borrow as little as possible. right?
Well,
Take the price
what's your
reduction.
break even number though? I mean, it's a long time to earn that back in your interest saving on that 10 grand.
It is. That's another one to
time.
consider.
Yeah.
Another one to consider for sure. Because your payment, you're going to borrow more, and your payment's going to be up,
Well,
right? How
so
much higher is your payment? We could do that. So it's about $30 per 5,000,
Mike and I
$32.
figured out it's like $32 a month, right? At the current interest
Depends on
rates.
what your interest rate is.
Every $5,000 you borrow, you should have in your head either do 30 or 35 because it's easier math.
So it'll take you. It'll
35.
It'll take you 28 years to break even.
Okay. So if $10,000, your payment's going to be up call it $70 a month.
Oh, okay.
Right. So 10,000 divided by 70.
Half that then. 14 years.
10,000 divided by 70 is how many months, Johnny?
10,000 divided by 70 is how many months?
It's 142 months.
Yeah. So I went 14
12 years. You're right.
All
12
So it's
years.
11.9 years.
11.9, you slacker.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not
Suck-
12.
suck so
Right.
bad.
And if you look at it like that, you're like, okay, well, geez, what's going to happen in
but
those?
the thing
in
is,
those
when you
11 years?
needed it, when you needed the money.
Most of the time, it's not a super financial analysis. Right. It's more like, okay, 10 grand. Where's that?
But let's talk about another way to use that 10 grand.
Okay.
Right? So let's say that you have a choice of either getting a $10,000 reduction on the price, which is going to save you $70 a month, or
lower your payment by that. Yeah.
Hey, I want 1% of the or 2% of the purchase price reduction, and I want to get that as a credit so I can buy down my interest rate. And then let's say I drop my interest rate by a point.
So you can use a credit to buy down the interest rate, right?
So you can use that towards any of your closing costs, right? That $10,000 you can use towards closing costs. So yeah, you can basically, one of your closing costs could be related to your interest rate. So origination points.
Nice.
And so if you had 10K and let's just say you were like, oh, that's extra money. Where should I put it? You could buy down your interest rate.
What would that do?
That's it's another one where you would look at the impact, right? So the 10,000 buys down the interest rate X amount of percent, 1%, 0.5%, 3/4%. It's not linear like that. I wish I could tell you. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, I thought 2% got you basically 2% of the purchase price got you 1% interest rate drop.
No. So that would also be like 1% buys you 0.5 point on your rate, right? Like so 1% of the loan amount would buy down your rate by 0.5%. It's not quite that linear. It changes every single market. I would say it's somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2. Okay. So 1% to buy down your interest rate by 1/4, maybe 3/8, maybe 1/2 on a good day.
Okay.
So I don't know the answer to what does that do to your payment, but I do know the answer to should you do it or not. And it's simple. You do a break-even calculation, right? You say, okay, Johnny, give me 10,000 today, and I'm going to lower your payment by
X amount of
$50 a month. So how long is it going to take you to recoup your 10,000?
200 months.
Right. So whatever that break-even period is, you're kind of in the red on that choice up until the break-even point, and then you hit the break-even, then you're in the black. And the longer you go with that loan without refinancing, selling, right, the better the decision was. So if your break-even is 24 months and that loan is alive for 5 years, 60 months, you made a great choice.
Did pretty good,
right? If your break even is 4 years and you refinance your loan in 3 years, you never recouped your 10K fully, right? So it was the wrong decision.
Right.
So you use that break even just kind of as so you want a shorter break even when you're looking at that decision. Or you just say, listen, I've like those 3% loans, I bought it down to 2.5. I'm going to have that loan for 30 years. I'm never going to refinance that loan. So then, yeah, of course, it made sense to buy it down because your break even was always shorter than your in the black. Period.
It is a numbers game, and you got to know your numbers. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
It's almost like we said that before. Know your numbers.
We're gonna wrap up with some negotiation tips, but before that, I want to do. Did you see, Mike, the note we got from KTG?
I'm seeing it now. I'm reading it now.
I wish I always screw up this because every year I screw this up. May 10th is the food drive for the Postal Service, U.S. Postal Service, right?
Today?
Yep.
It's today.
Stamp out hunger.
And I feel bad. I would have mentioned it. I would have mentioned it last week. So please, if you can, put non-perishable food items, by your mailbox. Okay?
Oh, that's today.
It's today, May 10th
this year.
Yeah, I know it's weird. and it's the largest food collection drive for the USPS, of the year. So please, if your mailman hasn't, if your mail carrier hasn't come yet, try to put some food out there. There's a lot of people in need right now.
So all you got to do is take your non-perishables, put them next to your mailbox, and
In a
your
bag or
letter
something.
carrier, your mail person will pick them up and take them to a local
I really
food bank.
appreciate it.
Yep,
So thank you.
Those people bust their hump every day, and thank you
Yes.
for all the hard work you do. But
Yes.
man, oh man, they bend over backwards to do this. They work extra hard to do this, and they insist on it. Like they'd
Yeah.
have it no other way.
Yeah.
It's a huge food drive.
It is.
And thank you for everybody putting in the sweat equity out there to make it happen, and for everybody getting involved too. I didn't get a flyer in the mailbox this year. That kind of sucks. I usually get a flyer in a bag.
Yeah.
Maybe you got it. It was you with the rest of your junk mail.
I guess I should say
Circular file.
willing to accept that.
Your daughter's probably at an age where she gets the mail. Like she's go out there and
Very
she
rarely. She gets stoked when we let her though.
See, it seems to be hit or miss because I didn't get one, but my mom did. So maybe it depends on where you are and location and who's bringing your mail. But it's great, and what's another cool thing about this is you're actually helping your own community because the food stays in.
Yes,
your
it's
local
true.
area.
They're not shipping it over somewhere else.
It's not a county. Is this a county thing or it's statewide?
I think it's nationwide. It's a
believe so.
USPS nationwide thing
nationwide.
on May 10th. Yeah.
Okay.
So KTG, thank you so much for letting us know about that. And anytime people have those kind of legitimate charities, let us know. We'll announce it. We have no problem. And it would be better if you let me know a week early, right? Because we could work on that better. Last thing I wanted to talk about, we've been talking about all the benefits of being a buyer in today's market. We've talked about higher inventory, more motivated sellers. We've talked about down payment assistance programs, right? We've talked about being informed and knowing your numbers with Mike's app on the Mortgage Firm app. But also a big part of today's market is negotiations. For many, many years, for several years since COVID, a lot of the negotiations, there wasn't really negotiations. Buyer just took whatever the seller said they were going to do, and you were going to take it or not take it or not get the house. But now it's a completely different market. You can negotiate. You don't have to expect to pay necessarily full asking price on the house. You can ask the seller to help pay for things to help you out in the process. You can ask them, can you hold off to let me close on my house to buy your house? There are just so many things that you can do that weren't really available in the tool in your toolbox to negotiate that you can get now. And some of the deals I've seen, even one of my listings, I was really bummed out about this. We had a house that appraised. This is how good of deals you can get. We had a house that appraised at $675. It ended up closing at $595.
Whoa!
Yeah, and it appraised at $675 because the first buyer fell apart.
Wow,
and the sellers got so bummed out that the deal fell apart, and it took a while to get that buyer. That when they got a new buyer, they just caved in. Yeah, they just went into shell shock and they caved in and they got a low ball offer and they didn't want to lose it. And then we had problems. We didn't take $595, but we took higher. But then we had inspection problems and then it dropped to $595. I couldn't believe it. The family was really happy because they were done, put a fork in it, and they were very happy. But there's deals out there. That family got $80,000 of equity on a $600,000
yeah,
house.
that's from an appraised value,
right? From the appraised value.
I think
there are values out there.
Another one that buyers are seeing more now, Jim, is like multiple houses that work. Yeah, and when you can go out on a Saturday or whatever it is, and you can find, you're looking at 10 homes, but maybe there's like 2 or 3 that actually would work, and you can kind of maybe think about this one or think about this. I can't get the deal we want on this one, or there's homes out where you went one weekend and then you're like, we're not quite ready to pull a trigger. It's still there the next week. It might still be there 2 weeks.
I looked
like
at 4
your
last
situation.
Week.
Yeah,
I had 4 choices, legitimate choices last week to look. So all of these things. So hopefully we got some people saying, hey, that isn't what I read in the paper. I want to hear more about this. Let these guys prove it to me that this is really a good time for me to buy, right? Maybe it isn't. Maybe the answer is no, but the answer might be yes. And if that's what you're thinking, I really want to do that, give us a call, give us a shot. Let us see what we could do for you. If it doesn't work, no high pressure. But if it does work, we might be changing your life.
That's the truth. Yeah, you don't know what you don't know, so find out what you don't know. Get those known unknowns all in your lap right there.
Yep.
Yeah, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Deal with pros when you're buying a home, selling a home, you're stuck with a home, you don't know what to do. You may know people in the field, and the reality is they just may not be great at what they do. Just because you know them doesn't mean they're amazing at their jobs. Go to people that I can promise you are phenomenal at what they do. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, a team of pros. You get them all. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. On Facebook and YouTube, consume away. And remember to share and like. You can, again, like Jim said, change lives, including your very own, with the professionals of FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. If you're lucky like me and have an amazing mom, my daughter's pretty lucky too. She's got an amazing mom. Take care of them on this Sunday. Show the love and appreciation. And if your mom's a little less than amazing, I trust she did her best. Give her some love on Sunday. That's the facts. Mike Rauch, mortgage guy from the Mortgage Firm. Have a great weekend.
Yes, sir. And happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there listening.
There's Jimmy D with the Florida Home Pros team. Have a great weekend.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Jimothy, my brother from another mother, have an awesome weekend.
You guys as well, and happy Mother's Day.
Thank you very much for being with us. We're getting into some Panther talk.
Yes, we are. Panther talk and some locker room.
Big